Welcome to the Disrupt Now podcast, episode 67.
What makes people excited is progress. You don't have to be at the goal yet to feel alive again. You have to make progress.
Just do right. Right may not be expedient. It may not be profitable, but it will satisfy your soul.
What matters most is finding your inner purpose.
Welcome to the Disrupt Now podcast, created by Natalie Viglione. This podcast is designed to help humans embrace change, transform, and evolve. Natalie is a cycle breaker, truth seeker, a priestess and healer, teacher, and a guide. This podcast's intent is to live and breathe truth, find and connect with authentic stories, and help raise consciousness. The purpose is to heal and awaken humans, to help you live the life that you want to live, a life of freedom and purpose. This will provide you with the tools, tips, and techniques to help you embrace the fact that it's necessary to disrupt the status quo. Please join Natalie and her guests on the journey to move humanity to a much higher level of consciousness and create more mindful conversations for us to explore together.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Disrupt Now podcast. If you're watching this video, as you can see, I have a beautiful new guest on the podcast today, and this is Kristen Bowen. Now, we're excited because we're going to talk about your unique body and your health, which you know is a very important topic on this podcast. But let me tell you about Kristen so that we can dive right into all the juicy details. So it took a complete health crash that led Kristen to create her business, which is Living the Good Life Naturally. I love that name. Back in 2002, autoimmune issues and a series of failed surgeries, they actually left her bedridden and depressed with daily seizures. And through research and looking for outside the box solutions, the foundation of what was found included food as medicine, key, and the number one building block for optimal health, magnesium. So since that time, Kristen has been able to help thousands and thousands of individuals since 2002 to reclaim their own health foundation. So Kristen, I am so excited to have you. Thank you for being here with me.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me on.
From sunny CA.
Yes. A little overcast today, but we love marine layer fog.
That works too. That works. You know the sun is there.
Yes, it'll come out.
So when we connected initially and I read your story and I really felt connected to you because, I have been on my own health journey for a few years. I can now say that it's been a few years. It goes fast and slow at the same time.
Doesn't it though? Fast and slow, all combined in together.
Yes. Like how many years? But, my heart went out to you because, how we reach this like bioaccumulation and we don't know when that's going to be. And it's devastating to our minds, our souls and
our families.
Everyone that's in our support realm just looks at it. And some of them may even look at you like, you're crazy. Like nothing is wrong with you. You look beautiful. So, and you're like, yeah, well, you should see my insides. Okay. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about kind of how this all came to fruition and like your process. And you figure this out on your own, which I want to give you kudos for.
I had a defining moment that you just reminded me of when you said that. And a woman came up to me. So let me set the stage here. I'm in a wheelchair. I have lost the majority of my hair. My eyebrows are gone. My eyelashes are gone. On the wheelchair, I have a little headrest because I don't have the strength to hold my head up. So my head's being held up and I am down at that point, I'm under 100 pounds. So incredibly unhealthy weight. And when I would have seizures, I would wet myself. And so my big thing was on Sundays, my family would, get me up and out of the house and to church. And I was sitting there, and some of the seizures you could see, like, very specific seizure pattern. And then sometimes, unless you knew what to look for, you could be sitting next to me and not realize that I was having a seizure.
Right.
And I remember sitting there in the wheelchair thinking, oh, because I'd wet myself. So I'd lost bladder control. And, my thought was, can people tell? Can they smell it? And I'm sitting there feeling pretty pitiful, like pretty much feeling sorry for myself. And I'll never forget this. And I'm so grateful it happened because it was so profound. It was like this meridian of time thinking. In that, a friend came up to me and patted my leg, and she said, "How are you doing?" And, my standard answer a lot of times is, "Good, I'm fine." And I was just feeling so pitiful that I told her.
The real stuff.
I told her the real, like, this is awful. And she looked at me and she goes, "Well," and she patted my leg. She goes, "At least you're skinny." Now, I am someone who has chased that 10 pounds.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's been 50 pounds as things have happened. And in that moment, I let go of my mother's generational belief that you have to be skinny to be happy. And it became about creating optimal health instead of chasing pounds and letting the scale determine my happiness. And I don't want to go back to that moment. I don't want to relive that moment. At the same time, the gold that came to me through that moment was life-changing, because I had been chasing a number on the scale, and that was when I was going to be healthy. And that's a lie. I'd never been so ill. And non-functional, absolutely non-functional. And I grew up in a family, my father's work ethic, insane as a dairyman. A dairyman, the work ethic a dairyman has. And so I grew up, that was very important. And then you take away my health and my life and my vitality for 3.5 years, and I can do nothing. And my value had to turn from doing to being. I don't have value because of what I do. I have value because I am. And so Anyway, your comment just reminded me of that moment. And I usually don't talk about it on podcasts. Maybe it was because we had such a great pre-connection for the podcast. But I don't want to go back, and I'm not saying, oh, it was so wonderful to live through that, because it was hell. The gold that came from the hell to rebuild what I wanted to believe, what I wanted to experience, was life-changing. And is why I'm where I'm at now. And I really love where I'm at now. I really love it. So
I don't, I'm really trying to like hold back the tears, because I think you hit a really important concept for women. We have got, we've got to let go of this. And my health battle with mold toxicity, which I only learned 2.5 years into what the hell is wrong with me.
Right.
Shouldn't take that long, but that's a whole other podcast. But I gained 50 pounds. And so it was the opposite. And all of a sudden I realized what I'm struggling with is my value has been totally wrapped around everyone's external view of Natalie being this beautiful, kind of athletic, person. I lost my value. And so you're speaking to my soul right now, and probably many people's souls, especially women, because we put all of our eggs into how freaking great we look in that bikini.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
We lost our home because of my health crash. Like we lost
wow.
financially. And I also let my home determine my value because I lived in a magazine home. And when I lost that, who was I?
Oh, yes.
What am I worth now? Like this is what this is what I show people. This and so stripping down to nothing and saying, oh, this is who I am. And then recognizing, this is who I am. And it has nothing to do with the look of my body, the look of my home, the kind of car I drive. It was a hard journey for me to get there. But once I really started embracing that, is a beautiful, powerful moment.
It is. It's like the most empowering
Mm-hmm.
that you can, like, I love that you just said the value, because the value really is wrapped into the I am.
Yeah, that's
I
where
am.
my value is because I am. Not because I did something, not because, and my doing got down to, did my eyes open that day? I can remember laying there thinking we had 6 kids, and we just brought in 2 from the foster care system as older children. And so it was traumatic for them to have this new mom go down at a whole different level than it was my other children. And I can remember just thinking, I've just got to open my eyes, so I can have that contact. And so switching from that value being in what I was doing to what I am was a very powerful shift for me.
And such a powerful example to kids, because that is what they need to see. Because I know this for fact. I learned to hate myself by what I heard from the women in my family.
Mm-hmm.
I remember.
Oh gosh. Okay. So we're, a lot of times on podcasts, I go to regular places. We're going to go to a different place now. What you just said.
I love it.
You're disrupting my podcast flow.
That's my goal.
I'm living your dream. Okay. So 6 children. The oldest was 12. We'd brought in 2 children, and like we lost everything. We lost our home. My husband took a leave of absence because I was completely non-functional after the surgery, and he took me to Mayo, took me to Stanford, anywhere that we heard a doctor that could help me. He got me there, and we were living a very above middle income life,
Right.
and so we were okay for a year with no income, which is huge. Like a lot of people wouldn't be able to do that, but we were. So we're like, okay, for a year we can do this. And then we had to buy back our insurance. And then at that year mark, when he was going to go back, the company didn't take him back. And so we were in trouble. We're like,
Oh,
and we had to buy back our insurance still. And it was like, oh my goodness. And, my kids didn't get braces. They didn't, those things that are just, you don't have to have, but you want to provide those things.
Right.
And I was a lesson mom, and, their lessons and harp lessons and piano lessons and soccer, wherever their passions took them, I wanted to support that. And that all got taken away because we just financially tanked. And it was after I started feeling better that I came back, because see, I was protected in a cocoon of all of that. I was so out of it, I didn't realize the loss. And so when I came back and I started seeing all the dilemmas, and I was very suicidal, and I had it all planned out. I had it all planned out because I thought my family will be better off with the insurance money. My husband can pay off all this medical debt. He can get out from underneath it and put braces on my kids. Just take care of them. Our 2 boys were signing over their paychecks from working at Golden Corral to just help cover utilities. And I just thought it isn't right. This is not how I dreamed of raising my kids.
Right.
And my husband, I married up. My husband could sense where I was at. I don't think he knew how bad it was, but he knew I wasn't in a good place. And he said, hey, I want you to reach out to the kids, because by this was later. And so most of them were, out of our home as adults, living out of our home, or launched out of our home. And so I reached out to them, and it was so interesting. And I said, I want to know, like, what's your experience? What is your, where are you at with what happened? Are you angry with me? I really took our lives and I turned it upside down. And every single one of my kids found their gold within that hard. My daughter, my oldest daughter, she said, Mom, I learned how to take a cupboard that really didn't have a lot in it because nobody noticed that we needed food because everybody was so focused on keeping you alive. And she said, I learned how to cook, and I learned that I could comfort siblings with making something really special. And she said, my love of culinary and my culinary degree, I have because of that. And my oldest son said, Mom, do you remember how stressed Dad was about money? And I said, well, actually, no, because I was so sick. And he said, I do. He goes, I would just see him with piles of envelopes and he'd start, but then you would need him. And I realized I could get in there and I could help Dad figure things out. And so I'd open the envelopes and I'd start organizing and sorting the bills, but then I didn't know what to do. And he goes, and somebody turned me on to a financial book. And so I started reading the book to learn what I needed to do to help Dad. And now he's a financial advisor that takes companies that have legacy wealth. So companies that have just exploded and they want to set it up so it doesn't ruin the next generation.
Oh, wow.
And that's what he does. He goes, I found my passion. And so it was their defining moment. And so right now, I want to talk to that person who's listening, who is so tired and who feels like giving up and who thinks they have tried everything and nothing is working for them. I want you to hold on, because it's a lie. You haven't tried everything, and something will work for you. You have to continue to turn over those stones that are not working and recognize you're one stone closer to figuring out what will work. It is possible. It is possible. Healing is possible. Western medicine gave up on me and said it wasn't possible. And then when they couldn't figure it out, they gave me all sorts of crazy diagnosis, like I was making it up myself. And I had Munchausen's, and I did not have Munchausen's. They just didn't know what was happening. And when they couldn't figure out what was happening, they tried to put me in this box that it was my fault. And I believed them. I believed them. And it wasn't my fault. It was actually titanium that they put inside me in that surgery. And at the time they thought titanium was inert, but it's not. Especially people with autoimmune, there's a Melissa syndrome and your body reacts to the titanium. And so I was having an allergic reaction to titanium, and that's why my body was shutting down. And so I want that person that's listening. I don't know your name. I don't know who you are, but I want you to remember that healing is possible no matter what the people around you say. And you've got this. You've got this. You can do this. And if the stone that you turned over did not work today, you just turn over the next one. And turn over the next one and turn over the next one. And eventually you start to put those pieces together.
Oh, as my mascara is all over my face, I'm sure. That's so powerful, Kristen. I can't even tell you how much that resonates with me and how much we need to understand that Western medicine has a place.
It does. It does.
And we know this, but I cannot even describe how important it is for everyone to know that going that path and you hit these brick walls, which I've left doctors' offices, women, I would request women because they had to understand, right?
Right.
No, completely wrong. They didn't care. And the things that they told me put me into tears every single time.
I think sometimes I'll say I, because I don't know if other people have done this, but I did. I went to Western medicine with broken patterns. And recognizing that I was going to it with broken patterns and unrealistic expectations, and healing those patterns was crucial, because I got to the point I had mold issues. I had a cadaver graft that was inside me that was bought on the black market. That's what held my bladder. My bladder had fallen after a baby, very common after a couple babies, your bladder falls. And so at the time, the way they fixed that was a cadaver graft at sling, and they put your bladder in it, and then they use those titanium screws to hold the sling. Well, my bladder sling, the cadaver graft, was bought on the black market and had mold on it. And so I had a mold issue. And this is where, and I'm, our pre-conversation, we're going to go a whole different place than where I normally go. But, you know, the mold protocols are crazy and all the expensive stuff. And so then it's like, okay, I'm better and I'm understanding the broken patterns with Western, but now I have to be a multi-billionaire to afford all the natural protocols that I need to do to heal my body. And that's a lie. That's a lie. Do you want to know what healed my mold? Do you want to know what healed it?
I would love to know.
Food, beans, beans. When you get bean fiber going from the ileum to the last part of the small intestine being pushed into the large intestine, it cleans up your bile. When you clean up your bile, your body takes care of the mold.
Oh my God.
I
want everyone to know that nugget of wisdom is like a nugget of wisdom.
I'm disgusted. I am disgusted with all of the expensive, crazy protocols out there that line people's pockets. At the same time that I'm saying that, I also recognize we live in a society where currency, and it's okay to make money. I'm not anti making money. What fuels and drives how I make money for me is crucial, and determining what my values are. And one of my values is helping people to create better health, not a crazy protocol that costs thousands or hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, I do have a couple machines in my home that I really like. You don't have them to be healthy. I just finished up a 21-day bean protocol. And women who had small intestinal bacterial overgrowth found healing. Women with mold sensitivities, they were like, beans?
That's what I'm saying right now.
I know.
I mean, I know food is thy medicine because yes.
Yeah.
But beans? It's like the cheapest thing that we could, it's not that organic.
When you get bean fiber, you have 12 to 15 times a day to clean up that bile, that cycle that happens in your body. And when you get that bean fiber, and fiber is good, but bean fiber is special. And when you get that happening, hormones balanced, sleep was better, energy was better, mood was better, sex drive was better, mold sensitivities got better, and for some people, absolutely healed.
Wow.
100% of the women in the Beam protocol, I've run it, I think 4 times now, 100% at their exit, I do a little exit questions, like, talk to me. And it's anonymous so that they don't, because I always
Feel
end up
obligated and
I
so,
always
yeah.
end up loving people in the program, and they reciprocate that back. And I don't want that relationship to
Expectation.
like, oh yeah, I'm gonna say, kind of thing. And so it's
Yes.
anonymous. And 100% of them are blown away at what bean fiber did to heal their body, their hormones, their energy, their digestion, and help them become more of who they are. Because our health is taking away the essence of our souls, the health
Totally.
problems. And if you can't be who you fully are, we're going to miss out on your gifts, and the world needs your gifts.
Exactly. Now, okay, I am blown away right now. Blown away. And that is absolutely amazing. Now, your journey, the research, I can't even, I know you should see the pile of books. Like, I know. And there's so much power in research, and we won't even go into what's happening in terms of health and stuff online right now, because that's a whole other podcast episode too. But research is everything, because that allows you to find out of these outside the box things. So,
but I got to throw a disrupt in there. Man, you were just going whole different places. Okay. So, but I have to say, research boosts endorphin levels, and you can get addicted to research and not taking action.
I hear that.
And so that takes us back to grandma wisdom, because if you're out there researching, but you're not going to bed on time,
yes,
you are addicted to dopamine. And your
interesting.
research is paying off your dopamine hit. And you're increasing the gap of broken health instead of closing the gap. Even though you think, oh, I'm researching, you're actually feeding a dopamine issue if you're not getting to bed on time, eating your vegetables, eating your beans, and drinking water. Because that grandma wisdom is crucial. It's
right.
Simple, it's basic. And if you don't have those things down, and you're out there chasing more, it's a dopamine addiction, said with all the love in my heart, but you got a dopamine addiction.
I hear that, because I remember a very profound moment. It was midnight, and I was researching, and I was like, and then all this, so I woke up the next morning, and I was, I always start with the workout, and I start with, I just always start with my little thing. And I was like, oh, I'm so tired. Why am I tired? And I was like, oh my God, every day this week I have stayed up until midnight or longer researching. And I had to disrupt myself, slap myself in the face with kindness, and stop. Yeah. Because I didn't even think about this piece of this, but that's exactly what it was. And you're spot on. Absolutely.
Takes one to know one.
How did you know? Yes, that is true. That is true.
Yeah, and it's crucial. And it's crucial. And we have to recognize those broken patterns. But here's the thing. Calling out a broken pattern is not nearly as lucrative as selling you a complicated system full of supplements.
Right. Exactly. I've been on that journey myself, and I looked at this healer, and I think, he was a very gifted healer. Like, I felt the intuition, and it was with muscle test, and I felt really, I felt it from him, but the amount of money we were like, just every month, just here's everything that we just earned.
I've done that.
Yes. Right. And I think that's where we go. And I looked at him one day and he said, first of all, he never showed up on time to these appointments either. And I said to him, I was like, this doesn't feel like healing. This feels like I'm feeding your ego. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, this is part of the healing process. Like what we're doing, we have to hit all these systems and this is how I work. And I said, you cause your clients more stress, which lends to more illness, which lends to not getting better. And you're just delaying my healing. So no, your problems and your ego is not part of my healing process. And I left, because that's where I think we've also gotten is, if we think about even Western medicine and the traditional, doctors in the conventional wisdom, egos, you see it all of the time. Mm-hmm. Like, them just throwing like, well, it's clearly we can't figure this out. And if we can't figure this out, clearly it's just you're the problem.
Yeah.
And that's total bullshit. 100%.
Yep.
So
and muscle testing, if you've got parasites, how would you trust muscle testing if you're overgrown in parasites? And if you have a mold addiction, you've got parasites. And when you run a parasite cleanse, all of the women who do muscle testing are blown away with, I can't believe how different my muscle testing is. Yeah, because your parasites were overriding, not your body.
Interesting.
Balance. Yeah.
Right.
Balance. I'm not sold on muscle testing because of that. I'm not willing to hand over my health to something that changes with the nuances of my gut. And I see so few people with a strong enough gut to muscle test. We're getting sicker. We're not getting healthier. We're getting sicker. And until we're healthy enough, muscle testing isn't even a part of the equation, because parasites communicate, and they're communicating more strongly than you even recognize or understand. And for a long time, I wasn't willing to say that because it sounded so batcrap crazy. But there was a parasitologist, and that's all she did. I think 15, 16 years of school. And she said, oh no, parasite communication, the government studies that. Parasite communication and how they communicate with each other is huge. And if you have health issues, you have an imbalanced gut, which means you have parasites, which means why would you trust muscle testing when you don't have balance? You're not getting a balanced answer from an imbalanced gut. So
that's fascinating. Yeah. And that makes so much sense.
Oh, it makes people angry though.
Oh, I'm sure. But you know what? I am a true believer. Like, I don't know if this is how I was born. I believe you've got to mix science with energy work or spiritual, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And if you don't combine those, we're not going to get the right answers as far as I'm concerned. Because if you live in this esoteric energy world only, you're missing out on the fact that we have a body in the 3D reality. And so we can't, it's never, are they, totally separate.
Well, and it used to be that grandma wisdom, you planted your seeds on the moon cycle. And then scientists came along and said, oh, that is ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And now scientists are saying, oh, that moon cycle determines the lunar moth and how it happens. And there is scientific data. And so it's interesting to me, the phases that we go through. And Philip Callahan is someone that I was so grateful to interact with him. And he was a hardcore scientist and a hardcore spiritual person and combined the two beautifully. Combine the two beautifully. And you will have a stronger foundation as that energy, whatever that energy and that science come together. And there's wisdom in both.
100%. So let's talk about magnesium and specifically. So I have been very excited to soak and stick my feet in that
You
magnesium.
upgraded your magnesium.
I
We
even got my
walked away from oral synthetic baked magnesium. Yay!
So how did you get there? How did that, because it's fascinating because it was interesting when I learned that I was deficient, which I think what is that percentage of people?
Last study from Texas A&M, 90% of us are severely deficient. So
yeah, that's pretty much everybody except the 10% who knew about this.
So we basically have babies being born that moms have burned up their magnesium from the baby. So we've got magnesium deficient babies, and it shows up as acid reflux in a baby. That's a magnesium deficient baby with acid reflux. So we've got to teach mama. It's crucial. We got to have mama have enough magnesium for her and enough magnesium to upcycle that baby.
Absolutely. And you know what I mean? And I think that we need to understand all of the effects that a deficiency has in that, which is sleep. I mean, my husband found out, I was like, oh, well, you're deficient too, you should get it. And boom, and then he started on magnesium, and now we have the soaking from you. And so let's talk about, how you found it, and then why transdermal over.
Okay. So when I was having my seizures, I did not know at the time, did not understand, but every time you have a seizure, the stress on your cranial nerves, it drains your magnesium. So I don't know if you've ever had seizures or your listeners have had seizures, but that doesn't mean that they have all their magnesium. So let's take it from seizure to stress. When was the last time you were stressed that you went, ugh? When that happens,
a lot of people can say
yeah. When that happens, cortisol goes up, magnesium is pushed out through your urine. And so I do that when I'm learning how not to do that. When I see someone say, you need 800 milligrams of magnesium a day. Bull! You cannot call that for someone. My magnesium burn rate is different than your magnesium burn rate. My husband just had double amputation unexpectedly from the knee down. So he lost his legs. His burn rate was completely different from my burn rate. He handled it like a pro. I cried and bawled and cried and cried and cried. I was sad. I was angry. I had all these emotions. My burn rate went up. You can't tell me that during that time, 800 milligrams of synthetic isolated magnesium was keeping my body nurtured. I want cell saturation. I want every cell surrounded with magnesium. Oral synthetic magnesium cannot do that. You would be crapping your pants all day long to even attempt to take that much magnesium, because your body recognizes this is not good. This is not good. And so when I was having those seizures and becoming more and more and more magnesium deficient, and when you're magnesium deficient, then it starts to tank your thyroid because your liver can't convert T4 into active T3. And so all of those things were happening. And so I was, somebody said, oh, you need magnesium. So I took oral magnesium. Well, I already had massive gut issues, and that just made it worse. Well, how am I supposed to get magnesium?
Right.
And a friend of mine said, oh, and she kind of whispered, she goes, don't make fun of me. I'm doing it this really different way, and I want to bring you some. And she brought me some, and I soaked. And I thought, oh, I feel really relaxed. For me, the first time was very relaxing. Now, that's not everyone's experience, because it depends on your stored cortisol, your inflammation, your thyroid function, and your adrenal strength, how your body handles magnesium in the beginning. And some people, it actually shines the light on more problems. If you're
Right.
low in potassium, soaking in magnesium is going to shine the light that your adrenals are trashed from low potassium. And so that first time for me was just like this overall chill. And I was like, okay, I feel so relaxed and so calm, and I slept better than I had in years. And so we just started soaking. And then I was like you, once I soaked and felt the difference. Oh, I love you. Here, you gotta soak, you gotta soak, you gotta soak.
Yeah.
And
Cooking for everybody.
yeah. And then it stopped working.
Mm.
And I was like, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? And I quit buying it for people because, I'd gift it, my love language, gifts. I'd gift it to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I quit because it wasn't making a difference. And I was angry because it made such a difference for our family, for type 2 diabetes, because you need magnesium to process that glucose. And so blood sugar had gotten better with it, and energy and sleep. And I missed it. It was like somebody gave me this beautiful warm blanket and then ripped it off me and expected me to continue going on without it. And I just wasn't willing to. And so long story short, I called the company, and it ended up the company was watering it down because the profit margin had changed. And it was at that moment that all the anger from all the things I'd lost, the surgery and the medical bills and all the doctors telling me I was crazy, that I was a closet alcoholic, that I had Munchausen's, I was making myself sick because I liked the attention, and all the things my children had lost. And it just kind of all came out at once. And I'm a peaceful person. I love peace. I value connection. And so it was a super uncomfortable place for me to be with all that rage and anger. And I don't want to be dark and twisty, but I feel all this anger. And so I went to my husband and I said, okay, here's the deal. That company has admitted, which I'm very grateful that he told me, has admitted that they're watering it down and it's not doing the same. And now we're in the same situation. I can't afford to buy 10 bottles, what one bottle used to do. I want to buy it. And he was like, what? He goes, you want to buy their company? I said, no. I want to buy magnesium. There has to be other people that have the same value that I do, that want a product that's clean, that want a product that they can depend on, that they want a product that's not watered down, that they want a product that even though the FDA allows it to be mislabeled in the way they've worded the laws, that's labeled properly because that's the right thing to do. And he goes, we're still recovering. Financially, we can't do that. Yes, we can. Honey, no, we can't. Yes, we can. And that went on for a while. And I said, if I can figure out a way, can we do it? He said, yeah, sure. Figure out a way. He goes, I'll support it. But right now with where we're at, we're still getting caught up and it's not there. And I said, okay, I'll figure out a way. And so I was at one of the meetings for his business and they were talking about his 401k. I thought, bing, we've got money in the 401k. He's rebuilding that. It comes out automatically. And there was this something loophole that we could pull some out. So I went to him and I said, I figured out a way. I want to pull it from our 401k. And he went, well, we lost it all once because we had pulled out to survive before the end crash. He goes, yeah, do it. Just do it. And that's when Living the Good Life Naturally was born. I never intended to start a business. When I make payroll twice a month, I still kind of laugh. Oh my gosh, payroll. I never intended to start a business. People did want the same thing. They wanted a product that wasn't watered down, that had integrity, that was what it said it was, that wasn't manufactured in a lab, because you can make millions manufacturing liquid magnesium in a lab and then selling it. But when you manufacture it in a lab, it doesn't move your red blood cell numbers. And that's my goal with magnesium, that red blood cell number. It's not just checklist. Oh, I took oral synthetic magnesium, boom, it's done. It's managing, and it's about taking more responsibility. And if somebody doesn't feel good, that's a very overwhelming place to be. I'm just now
Yes.
handing you
Yes.
more responsibility, but you have to do something different to get somewhere different. And taking that responsibility and recognizing I am managing my magnesium burn rate. So for example, I have a birthday coming up and I have a son who is going to make me floating custards. They're divine. Oh,
That sounds divine.
they are. It's he was about 15 and somebody had given him a used copy of a Jamie Oliver cookbook, and he makes me floating custards every year for my birthday, and they have white sugar in them, and I eat it and I have no stress and I love it, and I celebrate that I'm alive, and I celebrate that that bearded son recognizes my birthday and celebrates it with me, and it's a beautiful white sugar moment. I also know in that moment that because I made that choice to eat white sugar, that my magnesium burn rate is going to increase, because when you take in white sugar, you push out your magnesium. And so I offset my soaking with that. So it is more responsibility. But if you want something different, you have to be willing to take more responsibility. You have to take that back. You have to take it back.
Absolutely. And so that's fascinating that that company actually admitted that. I will say that.
It was an employee of the company. So probably the owners of the company didn't realize that that had happened.
Well, whoever that employee is you have integrity, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because, and you see, and that's okay. The products that you have and that integrity behind it, and that it's a value-based company, changes everything. It really does. It really does, because the focus of having health, you actually are so concerned about the end user having and getting and gaining optimal health.
It's kind of selfish on my part. It's what lights me up.
Right.
That lights me up. And don't get me wrong, I have to make sure at the end of the month that lights were paid and payroll is covered and insurance, all those things. That doesn't light me up. Is what lights me up is being a part of someone's journey, because I know when we get them feeling good and they wake up in the morning ready to get out of bed, they in turn start sharing their gifts and their quirks and their passions with the world. And I have these 7 beautiful grandchildren, and they are, trust me, they're perfect. They're delightful, and they're in a chaotic world. And I can't make the whole world better for them. I want to. I want a better place for them to be and to breathe and to thrive. And so my role is helping as many people as I can to get healthy.
Yes.
So that they can help me. It's incredibly selfish. I need help making the world better for those babies. I want this place to be better for them. I want their experiences. And we can't do that unless we wake up feeling good. If we wake up just thinking 5 more minutes, how do I get through this day? Your focus is inward. It's all about you. It's all about just getting through the day. But if we can get your system set up so that they're happening, they're just a part of your flow, you can look out and you can share with the world your gifts, your perspective that nobody else has.
Yes.
Nobody else has lived in New York City and San Francisco and now landed in North Carolina with that perspective of why you're there. I don't have that perspective. I've never been to New York City. I love San Francisco, but only you have that perspective. And that's what lights me up. That is what lights me up. And Magnesium that's manufactured in a lab, magnesium that is watered down, magnesium that comes from Russia or Utah that are loaded with heavy metals, that is not a part of the equation to get someone feeling better. And so
Right.
that's why I do what I do.
Oh, you are a breath of fresh air, my friend.
It's selfish. It truly is selfish. Those grandbabies, they're so perfect. They're just, and I want the best for them.
Yeah.
And
I know.
I hit this wall of overwhelm because I can't do it by myself. And I'm recruiting other people. I want them feeling good so that they can be a part and do their part and connect and lift and nurture and inspire.
Yes. And health, I this is why this has become a fundamental weave into everything that I'm doing too, because we need to prevent illness, and to get to that place, these are the things, this is the information, this is the wisdom that needs to be shared with the world.
We're not preventing illness, though. We're not doing it. I've been doing this for 20 years. 20 years I've been magnesium, soak. Now, so even 5 years ago, I would maybe have 1 or 2 emails a month. Oh, the magnesium made me exhausted. Like that magnesium wasn't good. Now it's happening all the time because our adrenals are getting sicker. So I get the opportunity to help them understand, oh, if you soaked in magnesium and you got not the calm, relaxed, like, oh my gosh, everything's good experience, but you got the, I'm so exhausted, I can't move my arm experience, your body, that magnesium is shining the light in your body,
Right.
that you have a crack in your foundation.
Right.
It seldom happened 5 years ago. It's happening all the time now. We are not getting healthier.
No.
Have a generation of children who will be diagnosed at gargantuan rates with type 2 diabetes. That inflexibility of their veins causes massive issues. Magnesium, and okay, wait, I have to stop. I have to disrupt myself. Because
I like this word.
I now sound like Ron. Was it Ron Popey? Ron, it slices, it dices, it does everything. And I sound like that. And I'm here's the thing. Magnesium does not cure everything.
Right.
It's not. It does.
It's a tool in the tool belt of health.
The foundation. And there is no disease. There is nothing that has gone off in your body that's not working, that magnesium did not go off first. And so it's the foundational piece. It does not cure everything. And I want to make sure I never come across that way, that someone out there listening who's so tired and discouraged and worn down.
Right. Expectations, right?
That they think, oh, I'm going to soak in magnesium one time.
Right.
Okay, now, if I can get them soaking in magnesium and eating beans,
then we're starting a golden path.
We're golden. But I want them to understand that, like, for example, they might soak in magnesium and their heels start to crack worse. It's shining the light. You have a omega-3 deficiency. Your omega-3s and your 6s are super imbalanced. And so please know, magnesium will shine the light on the problems that are going on in your body. And we have a choice right then. Are we going to shut the messenger up and not listen because we don't like what our body is saying? Or are we going to embrace and learn and discover, oh, I need more potassium-rich foods. And if you're eating your beans, you're getting your potassium.
It's it's all
little plug there for some beans.
Well, and I think this goes back to even our beginning of the conversation, which is about the Hippocratic Oath, which is let thy food be thy medicine and thy medicine be thy food. And so we mix all of these things together. And I think that really what we're getting back to is this ancient wisdom and tapping into an intelligence that has been so inverted and twisted and dark, like we've talked about, that now we have to invert it back the right side up. And, foundational things like this. Okay. Getting products to, soak in and put it all over. And I love putting the lotion on my feet at night because I just know like what's happening as I'm doing that. And then you're eating really great nutrition, you're working out, you're drinking water, you're getting good sleep. Like these things actually, how simple are those? I mean, a big, huge pound of beans is what, like 70 cents? I don't really know, but like it's so.
But if we're addicted to dopamine, we're looking for a complicated answer, not a simple one.
And welcome to humanity. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is absolutely, your wisdom is so needed.
I want to share one thing you said about putting it on your feet. So my husband's a recent double amputee. He was born with a genetic defect. And so from the knees down, and he's soaking in the tub in magnesium, but his numbers, because you test your magnesium with a red blood cell test, we can't get his numbers. And I was talking to one of his nurses, and she said, and I said, I can't get his numbers up. And she goes, oh, that totally makes sense. Your feet act like a pump.
Yes.
So
it does.
Soaking in my head, because I'm a tub soaker. And I thought I was doing a better job soaking in the tub because more of my body was exposed. Your feet. And so if someone's using magnesium and just putting it in their tub, make sure that you drop your feet down in the water. When I recognized that, and I had some women that weren't moving their red blood cell numbers, and we were putting those puzzle pieces together. And so I got a Marco Polo. I added every single one of them to Marco Polo and said, are your feet up on the tub?
Yeah.
And all of them said yes. I said, drop your feet and then let's retest your numbers. And their numbers moved. Our feet act as pumps.
Yes, they do.
Pull up through the lymph that beautiful magnesium. So soaking in a tub isn't more beneficial. You can soak in a pound of water, but you do have to have your feet in contact,
right,
to get those numbers up.
What about the hands?
Hands are not as efficient.
Okay.
Hands. Now, that's what, obviously my husband doesn't have feet. And so we are finding other ways to move his numbers, and
right.
Hands are second, but not like the feet. And
right.
If you have your feet, for those amputees that might be listening, put your hands in. If you have your feet, use your feet. They're the most powerful way. We've got thermal imaging of people soaking their feet, and you can see the magnesium pumping through their lymph.
Wow.
And it moves
that
up.
Is so cool.
Yeah. Feet are where it's at.
Yeah.
To pump magnesium.
Yeah.
Bypass the gut. Don't mess the gut up more with oral. We got to upgrade our magnesium.
Exactly. And gut health is everything. And that's a whole other podcast. Yeah. So with all the things that you're creating and your focus, so what's really big for you right now? What's happening?
So my passion, my heart, my focus, my attention is all in my Core 7 group. And so because I've been there, I've been in that place where, we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and then lost, and then didn't have hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so I have a subscription program, and it's $25 a month, and you can stop anytime you want. And we have a weekly call, and every week we just go over Core 7 principles. and we focus on those things, and it's an accountability check. It's a time that I'm looking in the Zoom camera and saying, how'd you do with your basics, that I call grandma wisdom?
Yes.
And it's a time that they can ask questions and say, okay, I'm eating beans, but they hurt my gut. And then I can say, oh, change the type of bean. Just because one bean gives you gas doesn't mean other beans will give you gas. You need to find your best bean. And then I can say, well, did you rinse your beans? Because rinsed beans are easier to digest. Did you soak your beans? Did you pressure cook your beans? They're easier to digest. Mung beans are the easiest. And so I can just help fine tune and speed up their learning curve. And so that's my passion, my heart, my focus, and has been for the last couple of years. And I don't see that changing, because it's a group of women that take action, that recognize that there's not a one term, like I do this and then tomorrow I wake up, that it's a building process, and we learn and grow together. We learn how to manage cortisol, because you can be doing all the things, and if you're in fight or flight, healing's not going to happen. And so we're always focused on ways of having chaos around us, but being calm. And so it's what I love. It's what I love. It's what lights me up. It's what keeps me moving, and I love it.
That's amazing. And so how can people join? Where do they find all this
So
juicy info?
Okay, so it's not always open for anyone to join. We do it a couple different times a year. I think 2020 we did it more often than we had before. And so they can go to the website, livingthegoodlifenaturally.com, and they can get on a waiting list.
Okay.
Because is what we do is we'll have a lot of new people come on, and I want to make sure that they understand. And so I really nurture them. And so when it's shut down, it's because I'm really making sure that these new people, because I know what things are going to come up, and then I can help them through that. And then we open it again, and then those new people we nurture, and the calls are recorded, and I just love it. And they can go to Living the Good Life Naturally if that sounds like something that would be a good fit for them. My goal is to over deliver. And so we have weekly conversations like what you and I have done today.
Right.
Not quite as disrupted though. You disrupted me. Like, wow. Like we went to places I've never gone before on the podcast. I have been on Disrupt. You disrupted me. I like need a t-shirt.
Yeah.
I've been disrupted. Have you? I need a t-shirt.
Oh my God. Oh, that's it. I'm making those t-shirts. Seriously.
Tell me when you have it. I'll buy one. I've been disrupted. Have you?
Do you like tank tops or t-shirts?
Yeah, t-shirts.
Okay, t-shirts. Okay.
I'm a t-shirt girl.
Oh my God. Thank you, Kristen,
Thank
so
you.
much for your wisdom. This is a profound nugget. The things, I mean, the bean, like, are you kidding me?
Beans.
That is, I have a bunch right over in that cupboard, in that kitchen, and I am
some
going to go get
people-
some right after this.
Some
No
people
joke.
will have to go very slow, like
Yes.
literally a tablespoon at a time. And
Yes.
some people can jump up. I have beans at 2 of my meals. At every meal I have, or not breakfast, I don't like beans with breakfast, but lunch and dinner, I have a serving of beans, and everyone will have their own pace, but it's amazing. It's amazing.
Unbelievable. And this is, I love the grandma wisdom concept, because people, if you take anything out of this, it's the simplicity. It's the simplicity.
Yes.
So please check out Kristen's site. Please follow. We're going to have a huge write-up on her with all the ways to connect. And again, thank you so much. I appreciate
Natalie,
you.
Thank you for what you're doing, because the information that you're sharing, I didn't have access to when I was, and it would have made the journey easier. And there were times that the journey was really dark and really lonely and really hard. And so I appreciate your ability of bringing a podcast together and bringing guests on and getting information out there to help people. So thank you, because I tried to do a podcast and just couldn't figure out all the editing and all that stuff.
So
And
there's a lot.
Yeah, there's it.
There is.
You don't think there's a lot to a podcast, like, oh yeah, I throw it up, but there is so much to a podcast. And I really appreciate people like you that have that ability to pull all of that behind the scenes together so that you can get the word out there, and for the platform that you've created and for sharing your gift. That's what it is. And
thank you.
You're doing that through your podcasting. So thank you.
Oh, well, and yes, you hit all the things. That's exactly why this exists, because our journeys should not be lonely, and they should be easier.
Yeah.
Until next time, everyone. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. And please, in the meantime, if you know anyone or you want to pitch your story, please get in touch with us at disruptnowprogram.com, or you can get in touch with me on Instagram at disruptwithnatalie. Of course, all the information is on our website. Again, thank you. And in the meantime, remember, no status quo.